there guys, welcome to the Light Space and welcome to another unscripted video. Today I'm going to be talking about the different stages of enlightenment, not the official written stages of enlightenment, but more my personal experience. Four in particular, one from the start and the last being the most evolved stage of enlightenment that I'm aware of. So for any of you who watch this channel for spirituality, you'll most likely know what I'm talking about, but for anybody who has yet to have a more spiritual experience, hopefully this video will be enlightening for you. So I was talking to a friend the other day and he said, what is spirituality? What is a spiritual awakening? And the only way I can really describe it is that when you have a spiritual awakening, a lot of people in today's world doubt the spirit even exists because they haven't had a spiritual experience, and a lot of people have these preconceived ideas that the spirit is associated with religion and superstition and fairy tales and all this stuff. But the spirit is very real. There's actually science behind this, well, more and more science behind this these days to sort of prove it, which is going to be becoming more and more prevalent in the future. So when you have a spiritual awakening, and I hate using those words because it sounds quite cheesy and religious, but it's the best way to describe it. Through cultivating spiritual practice, like whatever it might be, I think meditation would be the number one way to connect to the spirit. You will feel something within. It'll just happen one day. It's a feeling deep inside of you, and it feels like something inside you wakes up. You feel it clear as crystal. It's something that absolutely cannot be ignored. You feel it as much as you feel any emotion, any sensation, and it's very powerful, and you feel it. The only way I can describe it is it's similar to, say, when you know you're in love with somebody, you just have that feeling, you just know it's there, you feel it. It's incredibly powerful, you know, it's impossible to ignore, and you just know it's there. It's the same with a spiritual awakening. You just feel it. You feel the spirit within. And again, I hate using the word spirit, but that's the only word we have right now, so I'll just use that. But you feel the spirit within, you feel it blossoming and growing, and it's very, very potent, very powerful, and you just feel it. And a lot of people, the world we live in today is a very hard, logical society. You know, the current societal paradigm we live under is called scientific materialism, meaning we're very logic and science-based. If there's no science to back it up, it's all superstition. But that's kind of the problem with society now, is because we lack that spiritual component that connects us all. We all lack that faith and love that brings us all together, you know. So when society evolves, we will be a much more spiritual community. That's kind of what's missing in our evolution. We've become very technologically advanced, but spiritually and emotionally, we're still a very immature society because we're still, so much of our spiritual potential is still lying dormant. We don't even know it's there. So we're all feeling disconnected and governed by fear and ego and all this stuff. And when the spirit awakens within, you suddenly you rise above your old self and you connect to an infinitely greater place within, a place of infinite potential and light. And suddenly your old routine, your old circle of mistakes start to evaporate. You know, the new you blossoms, and you start to leave behind the old you, and you become something much greater. So that's kind of the first stage of enlightenment, of your spiritual awakening, is that you feel the spirit within. I think this is called Christ consciousness. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. When you realize that you are an eternal spirit, this pocket of light, and you can feel it within. And then, to be honest, not many people get beyond this particular stage because of how much practice and dedication is required. But the next stage, and I only have a couple of friends in my circle, I would say, who have reached this level, is a level of feeling, it's the birth of mastery, basically. You're much more calm, you're much more peaceful, you're much more in tune with the spirit for most of the time, I would say. So you're a much calmer person, you're more masterful, you're no longer governed by your old mistakes, you don't get so angry or upset anymore. You're a much more calm, relaxed person. You become more of a master. You don't let external events sort of govern your internal world. You stay much more centered and peaceful because you've cultivated the spirit and escaped your old sort of limits. Now the next stage This one's very rare, to be honest. This one is very rare. This is when you get to the point where you have basically cleansed yourself of all fear and doubt and any negativity, and you feel absolutely connected to everything around you. The only way I can really describe it is that you feel as if everything within you, all the fear, is cleansed, and it feels like everything around you is made of love, unconditional love. That's the only way I can describe it. I know that sounds kind of lame, but you feel intensely blissful, intensely peaceful, the kind of peace and bliss that brings you to tears. It will literally bring you to tears. I mean, we humans, we cry when we have an emotion that's so overwhelming that we have to express it physically. Same as when you're so sad, you cry. When you feel this joy, it's so intense that, again, you cry because it feels so beautiful and it's just so overwhelming. So you feel like... I used to hear the old spiritual axiom, all is one, or, make me one with everything. And I never understood what that meant before. I always used to think that just sounded like some lame sort of spiritual sort of hippie axiom, but it's the truth. You feel like you're one with everything. There is no separation between you and all around you. You feel connected to everything, and you feel like everything around you is just made of unconditional love. You feel incredibly peaceful. And it's heaven. It is heaven on earth. That's the only way I can describe it. That's very rare. So if you do get to that level, you sort of transcend your old sense of identity and realize there's something so much greater, and you feel connected to everything, and you feel connected to your greatest potential. So that's a very rare level. If you get that far and you know what I'm talking about, then congratulations. You should be incredibly proud of yourself, because that takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work and commitment. And you should be extremely proud of yourself if you're one of those people that has experienced that. And now we're getting on to the final stage. This is the stage that I'm experiencing now in my life more and more. And as far as I know, it's the most advanced spiritual state that you can achieve. And this is when this is basically, the highest level. This is the level of an Eckhart Tolle or a Don Miguel Ruiz. This is the point where you barely think. You barely think at all. You're completely present for the vast majority of your time, and it's very effortless. You are completely present, and you're absolutely in tune with your heart space. It's like you stop thinking, and you're completely in tune with your heart, your intuition, the greatest part of you. Your heart is your inner oracle. And your intuition becomes crystal clear. You can hear your intuition so clearly because you're no longer clouded by thought, and you're present for the vast majority of the time. So you're completely in tune with the flow of life, with the flow of the universe. So ultimately, you kind of become God. And most likely by this point, you've got a great sense of worthiness and deserving. So at this point, all of your desires and your wants, they just flow to you with ease. Life just flows to you like an adventure. You just become like water. You just start to flow with the flow of life. And the things that you want come to you very easily. And it's a feeling of absolute boundless freedom. It's the only way I can describe it. You feel completely free. Nothing bothers you. It's a real sort of carefree attitude. You don't really care. And I don't mean that in a callous kind of way, but you don't really care. You used to fret over things like, I hope I get this job, I hope this date goes well. There's just none of that. You just don't really care. You're just so carefree, and because of that thing, you're detached. Things start to flow to you very easily. You're very, very blissful, very intensely at peace. And, life just becomes a sort of fun adventure. It's like, we think we need to think so much more than we really do. Your heart speaks volumes when you learn to listen. So that's the 4 stages that I've experienced thus far. I'm sure there is indeed probably a level beyond the one I just mentioned. If there is, I haven't got there yet. I certainly hope there is another level. I'm sure there is, but as far as I know, these are the 4 sort of main stages in enlightenment and spiritual growth that I've been through personally, and that I know you will go through if you are dedicated enough. It does take an awful lot of dedication, I'm not going to lie. It's a lifelong commitment. If you want to be spiritually advanced, you can't just sort of meditate here and there or just ponder about, spiritual truths or universal truths here and there. It's an every single day practice. You have to do your practice every single day and really give it your all. It's got to be a lifelong commitment, and you will get there. It took me. I became very spiritual back when I was 26, and I'm 31 now. So now you can get there, 4 or 5 years if you're very dedicated, maybe a little more, I guess, for the average person. But I would highly recommend anybody who's listening to absolutely go all out for your spiritual practice, and life becomes pretty incredible, and you feel spectacular. How you feel can't be described with words. Anyway, that's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.